So good, so good, so good.
New markdowns up to 70% off are at Nordstrom Rack stores now. Fresh kicks, spring tops, new dresses. There's always a score.
I mean, the denim section is unreal.
Why do I rack? All the dresses.
I always find something amazing.
Head to your Nordstrom Rack store to find can't-miss deals on all the spring things. Great brands, great prices. That's why you rack.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome to DSC's Campfires with Larry Weissoon, a unique blend of hunting, fishing, wildlife conservation, and the outdoor lifestyle. DSC's Campfires is brought to you by DSC, Conservation, Education, and Hunter Advocacy. Hornady, accurate, deadly, dependable. Taurus, award-winning revolvers and pistols. Stealth Vision, high-tech, precision-driven equipment for the modern hunter. Mossberg, American-built, American-strong. Vineyard Max, deer attractants created for their aroma of success, game feeders, and other innovative hunting products. Red 55 Winery, signature wines from the Emmy Award-winning country artist Miranda Lambert, owned by Rick and Beverly Lambert. Well, welcome to another DSC's Campfires, and of all places, we're going to start this one today right here at the world headquarters of the Texas Wildlife Association, and I'm here with Justin Drablis, who heads up this organization in a lot of different ways. Justin, we've been visiting this morning about the upcoming convention. Let's talk about that just a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, thanks for coming and seeing us, seeing what you started here. But yeah, we're really excited, celebrating our 40th year this year. And with our convention coming up in July, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a big one.
It is going to be a big one. And 40 years is I remember the 25th one. Well, I remember the very first one when you get right down to at the YO Hilton. We had maybe 75 people there, and we thought, man, if we could ever get this organization up to where we've got 150 people here, it didn't take very long, and now our organization has grown to be one of the more important, if not certainly the most important wildlife and landowner hunting operation, if you want to call it that, but organization in the state of Texas that other states have used as an example as well, too.
Absolutely, yeah. We've got a big responsibility, with a very active legislative session going on right now, where there's lots of landowner and hunter related legislation that's being considered, with a very active regulatory environment with Parks and Wildlife Commission and Animal Health Commission. There's lots and lots of things going on that directly affect landowners and hunters and wildlife conservationists. And so, very thankful for you guys being thoughtful 40 years ago and putting this organization together, because we all have a responsibility to make sure that hunters and landowners have a seat at the table during those processes that are so important.
You're exactly right, because hunters look bad as we were paying for the conservation when you get right down to it. And with Texas being unique in that not 100%, but not a whole lot off of that is privately owned. Yeah. And so when you get right down to the perpetuation of wildlife and wildlife habitat and the improvement of that over a period of years, including into the future, is really in the hands of the landowners when you get right down to it, and how they are allowed to do things. And to me, that's a big part of TWA is with our legislative efforts to make certain that habitat and the ability of that landowner to manage that habitat are up front pretty close.
Absolutely. And so it's a big education process for us that we're constantly trying to make sure that whether it be legislators or just citizens that live in town,
absolutely,
that they make that connection, that the decisions that private landowners are making on their land directly affects the people that are living in town. And and where their water's coming from, where their clean air's coming from, food, fiber, all those things. Oftentimes that there's a disconnect there, and so we're constantly trying to make that connection, and it's a full-time job because there's so many people that live in town and they just don't have a reason to think about that. I would also tell you, when you're at the Texas legislature, the vast majority of those senators and representatives are from urban districts, and so it's what our members are doing out there on the land is directly affecting their constituents, whether they know it or not.
Whether they know it or not.
Yeah.
And most of the things we do, or probably nearly all the things we do, very positively affect them, kind of thing.
100%.
My contention has always been that if you have a yard, you live in town, or you live in an apartment building, you're up on the 14th floor, and you got a flower pot sitting outside where an insect can come to it, you're an influencer as far as wildlife is concerned, and you're a stakeholder when you get right down to it at that situation. So I know we do so many things through TWA compared to when we first started now 40 years ago. What are some of the education programs that we're involved in right now? Because that's a big deal with TWA.
It really is. So our Conservation Legacy program has lots of different options, but one that I'm particularly proud of is our Wildlife by Design program, where we have 8 conservation educators that represent us all over the state. We have a couple in Dallas-Fort Worth. We've got 3 in Houston. We've got 1 in San Angelo. We've got 1 in Austin and San Antonio. And those teachers go into schools and teach these TEKS-aligned natural resource lessons to kids, going back to the exact same thing we were just talking about,
Exactly.
Trying to make that connection with private land stewardship. And they're teaching anywhere from 10 to 12,000 kids a piece every year.
Whoa.
And so and that's been one of our growth strategies from our education standpoint,
Right.
is trying to get good teachers strategically placed around the state to teach these natural resource lessons. And through that effort, we've been able to impact a lot of kids with that really valuable natural resource lesson. So that's something we take very seriously. On the hunting side of things, we've had our Texas Youth Hunting Program since 1991. Where we've partnered with the department, and really excited that we took our 30,000th kid on a safe educational hunt on private land this year through TYHP, and we're already blown past that 30,000 number, but there's a lot of work, a lot of volunteerism, a lot of open gates that have come together to make that happen. But man, it's just you step back and think about it, it's pretty inspiring.
Yeah, I get tickled sometime. I'll be somewhere and somebody will talk about, man, we took 8 or 10 kids hunting this year. And I go, man, that's fantastic. And I'll let them talk a little bit. I said, let me tell you what the Texas Wildlife Association has done. And not only that, not only have taken those youngsters hunting, they were there with a parent or a guardian.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times I know that has introduced those folks as well to wildlife, to understand the importance of hunting to conservation, not just for the game species, but with the habitat perspective to keeping those game populations in check. That's the reason we have a lot of butterflies. That's the reason we have a lot of earthworms in some areas. A lot of reasons we have a lot of songbirds in certain areas as well too, is because, again, going back to that hunter paying for conservation and having an understanding how important that habitat is, not just to the game species, but all the species that live there. And maybe even more important, the plant community that's there.
Yeah, it's all connected. And another hunting program we're really excited about is our Adult Learn to Hunt program,
gosh, yes.
which we've talked a lot about. But we'll do 30 hunts this year for our adult program, and that's a number that is rapidly growing. And there's just a huge demand for folks that just didn't grow up hunting. They're interested in where the food comes from. They're interested in finding connections with the land. And I mean, as you and I both know, there's no better way to connect with the land and know where your food comes from than to be a hunter. And so that's just been a program where we've seen, tremendous interest. And what's really exciting me is that those people who have been involved in the program, they've gone on a hunt, they're coming back and they're volunteering, and they're finding ways to get further engaged in TWA. Now we have a couple of Adult Learn to Hunt program participants that are now directors at TWA. They're on our board of directors. And they were walking the halls of the Capitol with us a few weeks ago to go talk to some of these legislative members from all over the state about their experience and their connection with the land. So in my mind, that's coming full circle, and it's the way it's supposed to work.
It is coming full circle, and that circle is increasing in size all the time in terms of numbers, but also in terms of scope, if you will, across the state of Texas kind of thing. And again, going back, so many things that we've done through TWA have served as examples of some of the other states, and they may not have, say, like a Wyoming Wildlife Association, but there are organizations there that have taken things that TWA has been able to do over the last now 40 years and apply to their own states. And to me, that's important as well, too.
Absolutely.
Let's talk a little bit more about the convention. It's going to be in July.
It'll be July 10th through the 12th.
10th through the 12th, and it'll be at the
JW Marriott, and they're in the north side of San Antonio.
Easy to get to, by the way.
Absolutely.
You really, unless you want to go into San Antonio, maybe you want to go look at the Alamo or something if you're coming in. But other than that, you can get there very easily. And it starts when? It starts actually...
So on July 10th, which is the Thursday, that will be our private land summit. So
Yes,
this
sir.
year we're going to be covering renewable energy development, kind of the good, bad, ugly, and all the developments going on around energy. Renewable energy development, which is a hot topic for private landowners and just our state government. There's just
Yes.
a lot of attention on it. So we're going to be covering all sides of that on Thursday. On Friday, we'll have our foundation luncheon, followed by our Texas Big Game Awards statewide banquet on Friday night. That's going to be great. You'll see the biggest, the top 3 animals in each category: whitetail, mule deer, javelina. I believe there will be a bighorn there this year too.
All right.
So that's always a fun time. We'll finish that up with a nice auction. And then so Friday is going to be a lot of fun. And then Saturday is our really big day, where we have educational seminars in the morning, followed by our awards luncheon, where we're going to recognize yourself and all of our past presidents, which that program is going to be fantastic. I'm really looking forward to that.
I'm looking forward to that one, too. We talked a little bit about that. We'll come back and talk some more about that as we get a little bit closer. But I think there are going to be some interesting stories told there, some interesting memories that will be brought up, because we've got an absolutely great history with the people that have been involved with TWA. Or they've had a great history as well, too, in a lot of different ways. And so I think that's going to be a great amount of fun. Now, the auctions, one of the things, having been involved with this organization a long time, is that some of our auction items you cannot get anywhere else. You could knock on that person's door and he probably wouldn't even look at you. But at TWA, sometimes they'll donate hunts, and some of those hunts get onto properties that just strictly for family.
Yeah. There really are. There are a number of very special experiences there that, like you said, are not available to the public. You can't buy your way on to these places. It's a special TWA opportunity, and one that we've got some really dedicated members that it's important to them to donate.
Thank goodness,
every
yes,
year.
sir. And two, you mentioned some of the. I know during the Saturday we have a lot of different things going on, particularly some of the educational seminars. Have we set a schedule, or have we set the speakers on that yet?
So we're working on that right now. We're getting that dialed in, but I will tell you there will be some big name folks there that we're kind of sealing the deal with at the moment. But there's going to be something for everybody. There's going to be landowner liability type discussions for landowners trying to make sure that they've got their family legacy covered. We'll have your traditional wildlife biology kind of programs, and then we've had a lot of success and a lot of interest around wild game cooking, and so we will have some really good wild game demonstrations as well. So
now, earlier I heard that this individual who does this is talking about the possibility of doing aoudad.
That's right. We
that will be super interesting.
Yes, it will. So we're very excited, about the wild game cooking side of things, and so our membership loves it and creates a good opportunity, and maybe even if we can talk people into eating more Aoudad, we might not have as big of a problem.
I think that would be I love the fact that that's the animal that he's chosen, because there's no lack of them out in West Texas. And, of course, we're trying to limit numbers out there. And particularly, the rams are no big deal because everybody wants to shoot a big 30-inch type plus ram. But there's a lot of ewes out there that certainly could be utilized for food. And if he's figured out a way how to make Aoudad taste good, I want to know about it. I haven't eaten it where it's really good, but I've also eaten it where it was really tough. So I'm anxious to see how Jesse does this.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jesse Griffiths, co-owner of Die Dewey there in Austin, he did a fantastic program for us last year.
Yes, sir.
Highlighting his turkey book, breaking down a turkey, talking through all the cooking techniques. Jesse has agreed to come back and see us on Saturday in July, and so we're really excited to have him part of the event again and get to showcase his skills. And I will tell you, I've eaten Aoudad in the restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
And it was fantastic.
Really?
So,
man.
I've also cooked it myself, and it was pretty tough, but there is a way.
Yeah. Well, years ago, one of the ranches I took care of, we had a lot of Aoudad on it. But we shot a lot of young Aoudad, like 6-month-old, and they were out of this world good. So, but we controlled our population that way by trying to shoot young ewes before they got a little, old and started breeding. And the meat on those was absolutely comparable and in terms of flavor to the best wild game I've ever eaten, and very tender. Some of the really old rams were a little bit tougher kind of thing. So,
well, in my experience with a really old ram, the flavor was just fine.
Yes.
It was good.
Yes.
It was just tough.
It's tough.
And so just had to kind of adjust the techniques to get it to where you
slice
can
a little
chew
thinner, chew a little bit longer.
But like I said, the flavor was very good.
Yes, the flavor was, to me, it was very similar to what the younger ones were that we shot. So that's something to really look forward to. But the thing about it is we have things going on at TWA conventions every year that are designed for any and everybody, from the youngest that shows up to old grandpas and great grandpas and like me these days that show up. There's something to be done there and people to visit with. And to me, the visiting part is probably one of the strong points of our group, because everybody's very open about what they're doing, how they're doing things. It's a great learning process, among other things. Plus being able to catch up with old friends and maybe tell a few hunting stories or fishing stories, mostly true, but some of us don't let the truth get in the way of a really good story either. So I got to feel some of that'll happen there as well too.
Well, I've been around the organization for going on 20 years now.
Oh, that's right.
And I just remember going to my first one and just being amazed at how it seemed like everybody knew each other.
It's a family.
And it really is. It's a
whether
family
you know
reunion.
them or not. I mean, the thing about it is people show up, and maybe you've never met before, but before you leave, you're friends.
Yeah.
And again, part of that, I think, is for that love of wildlife, love of the outdoors, and that you share with those same people. And they have there's an understanding there of, hey, we've got mutual goals, mutual objectives, and the only way we can accomplish this is if we get very much involved and behind organizations, particularly TWA here in Texas.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and we've got, a lot of our members like to start their kids young too.
Oh, yes.
And so it's important for people to know that this is a family-friendly party. There's something for everybody. And so there is, we have kids' activities. We also have babysitting service for the banquet nights.
Yes.
And so that's a great thing. And I can tell you personally, my kids love going to TWA convention because they like going to range riders to go hang out with their buddies during the banquets too. So
exactly.
It's a lot of fun. And what's really cool for me, and I know it's really rewarding for you too, is to see some of our young leaders in the organization that have grown up going to these events, and now they're stepping up, serving as officers in the organization,
yes,
providing really strong leadership for us. And it just to see it come again full circle.
And very much involved in our various committees and those kind of things as well, too. And again, for the most part, this is really a volunteer organization when you get right down to it. We need to have key people such as yourself and several others who are involved here at this headquarters that we have, the David Langford headquarters, if you will. And for those of y'all who don't know David is one of our longtime directors, our executive directors, the same position that Justin now holds. So great place here. If you have a chance, come and visit. If you live in Texas or if you're going between anywhere toward San Antonio, you really ought to stop by and visit the TWA office. I'll get it spit out here correctly in a second. But let's talk one more time a little bit about the convention. What are the dates?
July 10th through the 12th.
10th to the 12th. It's going to be at the JW
Marriott Hill Country. And we'll start on Thursday with Private Land Summit. Friday is the Foundation Luncheon and Big Game Awards Banquet. Saturday is the full day with educational seminars, business meeting, and then we close the thing out with our big blowout grand auction on Saturday night. And this is the biggest, it's our biggest fundraiser of the year for TWA. It's an important one for us. But like you said, it's an important family reunion for everybody to get together, see each other. So there's a lot of important dollars raised for the organization, but a lot of goodwill that comes together there too.
There really is. And can people pre-register? Obviously,
we're about to open up registration here pretty quick. The best way to do it is to go to our website at texas-wildlife.org. You can find all the information. If you want to be a sponsor, we're looking for more exhibitors. We're going to be beefing up our exhibitor trade show this year. And so we have some spots available for that. So if people are interested in sponsoring, exhibiting, or just attending, we'd love to have you there. So give us a holler, check us out on the website, and find out some more information.
And again, that's texas-wildlife.org.
Correct.
And you can learn about all the other programs that we have available through TWA here as well. Thank you very much for being with us today. We're going to come back and do this again a little bit as a reminder as we get a little bit closer and maybe talk a little bit more about some of the specifics on the convention as to what all is going to be going on. But thank you so much for joining us around the campfire today, and we'll be back here again, same place next week, wherever that might be. I'm not sure where we're going yet, but we'll do our best to try to give you some information and hopefully entertain you just a little bit. Thank you for joining us. DSC's Campfires has also been brought to you by the Crown Bar in LaGrange, Texas, Texas Wildlife Association, Habit, Our Gear, Your Adventure, Double Nickel Taxidermy, and Burnham Brothers Game Calls.